On April 20th, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon disaster changed the lives of millions living near the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the scientists who responded to the crisis. These are some of their stories, intimate portraits of research, innovation, discovery. Welcome, I'm Jim McNamee, editor of Dispatches from the Gulf, a series of documentaries, short videos, and podcasts. Today we hear from Felicia Coleman, director of the Florida State University Coastal and Marine Laboratory. Dr. Coleman shares her thoughts about the need for baseline studies with regard to the Deepwater Horizon Oil Spill.
The first thing that went through my mind when I heard about the Gulf oil spill was it was hard to imagine at first. I couldn't have imagined how big it would become. And at first it just sounded like it might be a small accident, and as time went on, it just grew and grew. And every day when I would drive to work and drive across the Ochlockonee River, I just thought, not today. Don't let it get here today. Baseline studies are incredibly important for research because it gives you something to which you can compare. For instance, I've done a lot of work in marine protected areas related to fisheries. And one of the problems with that kind of work is that there is no baseline. We've been fishing for so long over such a tremendous area of the Gulf that we don't know what natural populations look like. For a lot of the fishes that we're working on, we didn't know anything about them, so it's hard to tell when you find mercury in their tissues, when you find PAHs in their livers and muscles. You don't know if that was there prior to the spill or after the spill, and you don't know what the effect is. Maybe they're highly tolerant of those sorts of levels of heavy metals and pollutants, and they can withstand it. If it affects their ability to give birth, for instance, the number of eggs that they produce, if it affects their health, then that's a problem. But again, we don't have a baseline. We don't have an unaffected population to compare it to. So it's very hard to figure out exactly what's gone on with the oil spill.
Dr. Coleman also looks at the future of the Gulf of Mexico. Her thoughts speak volumes about many of the other environmental challenges our country now faces.
One of the things that reporters were always asking us was, is this the worst thing that's ever happened in the Gulf of Mexico? And I've been really involved at looking at other sorts of events, whether they were natural or anthropogenically induced, and I thought, this is just one of many cuts that the Gulf has suffered over the last century, ranging from overfishing to nutrient pollution that creates the dead zone off of Louisiana. There's so many other problems in the Gulf that the oil just added to them. If we don't do something about our wetlands, trying to restore wetlands around the Gulf of Mexico, problems are just going to continue to the point, it may reach a tipping point beyond which things are not going to change back to what we think is normal. They'll change into something else. And I don't know what that'll look like. It certainly won't have the biological diversity or the health that we'd like to have. So if there's anything good that came out of this oil spill, I would say that it put a light on the Gulf to not only start discussing how we're going to search for and develop oil or look at alternative energy sources, but it also revealed that there are a lot of other problems that are unrelated to the oil that need to be resolved if we're going to have a resilient and sustainable Gulf.
Today, thousands of scientists, oceanographers, chemists, engineers, biologists are all working together to develop newer and better ways to understand and ease the impact of oil spills. To learn more about their work, visit our webpage at dispatchesfromthegulf.com. Funding for this podcast was provided by a grant by the Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative. And thanks for listening.